Welcome, everyone. We're here in Sharjah at the Xposure Photo Festival, and we're thrilled. The crew here has been just phenomenal for us, and we're really thankful to allow us to do this presentation. And with me today from Venezuela is Ana María Arévalo Gosen. I may have not done that credit enough, the pronunciation of your name, but we're thrilled to be here and to be sitting with you. And Ana is one of the winners of the Global Focus Project, which is a coveted award where only 12 people get it, 2 people from each continent. And she's gracious enough to give us some of her time to tell us about her project. So off we go.
All right.
So, access. Tell us the project, and how did you get access to this?
Okay, so I'll just leave this image.
Yeah.
The story is good. So, well, I started this project in my country in 2017, and I left Venezuela. So to give you some context, I leave Venezuela. I leave Venezuela in 2009. That year was a very violent year for me.
Yeah.
I think for the rest of Venezuela too, but for me especially, I almost died 3 times due to some violent
just random violence
events. Not really random.
Or protest violence?
I was once in a protest, then the second one was going to my university. I was going to rehearse jazz, and was in a armed robbery. No. And the third one, the last one, was a homicide, but just in front of me in a very small bar.
Wow.
So I was with my friends, hanging out, dancing, and then this guy comes, kills somebody.
This is in 2009?
No, 9, okay. Yeah, exactly. And I go home. I was very traumatized. I was very angry, very scared, and I tell my mom I need to leave. Please help me, because I am sure that if this keeps on happening, something's going to happen to me, so I was scared.
And are you shooting at this time?
No, I was studying liberal arts.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, like a bit of an activist, but not really like understanding photography at all.
Right.
Then I moved to Toulouse, where I start to understand the power of documentary photography, because French have this tradition of the reportage, the documentary photography, very, very embedded in their culture. Everyone knows what a photojournalist is. And I start to see myself and understand me.
So were those events from home somewhat inspiring to get into documentary photography?
Right.
I
don't know.
Retrospect?
What I know that happened at that time, because I've never think, what exactly, was that I wanted to be of service of the other. I wanted to use my life and my purpose to serve other human beings, but I was studying political science in Toulouse, in France, because that's what existed there. And while I was studying political science, I started to see all of this documentary photography in the streets, in the galleries, in the museums of Toulouse, and I've always been very creative. I am also a musician. I sing, so I started to see how creativity can also be, included in this life, in this purpose that I wanted to fulfill, serving the other, and trying to express also my points of view about life, but in a creative way, Entonces, that's how I convinced my father and my mother to let me study photography. And I was the worst
But they really
student.
didn't have much of a choice.
They didn't. No,
okay.
They did. But I made them believe.
I believe it.
Yeah. But anyway, I was a very bad student, because I only wanted to do photojournalism and reportage. I didn't want to go to the freaking dark room. It was so boring. I didn't understand anything. I was like, let's just go photograph,
Right.
So I wasn't, charmed about it. But I did understand the power of it. I did understand, and I understood the responsibility, right away.
Right.
And in 2017 around, I start to feel my roots calling me back home.
Okay.
I wanted to, see my dad, drink a beer in the beach, see my auntie, my uncle, having this notion of home, so lost, for so long, and wanted to come back to this very known, familiar place to me.
And what year is that?
That's 2017, so several years later.
Yeah.
I was living in Hamburg at the time, already moved to Germany. And I was missing, I was just missing speaking Spanish. I was speaking German all the time and French and, anyway, I go back and of course I see my country being, deteriorated.
Yeah.
My family spirits for a better future were frustrated. The home that I grew up with, that I wanted to see so much, was crumbling, because there was no money to renovate, food shortages.
So tell us how that translated into starting the project.
Yeah, so I talked to a friend, a journalist friend, and she told me that, I told her that I wanted to document the root cause of the crisis. Like, how did we get here? And she tells me, oh, well, then you have to come with me, because I work with an NGO that defends the rights of the people that are detained.
Right.
And now there is a big problem with the legislation that is not allowing them to be transferred, which is leading to bunch of problems: overcrowding, diseases, prisoners escaping, people dying in prison because they are not receiving any food, water, medical attention. So I tell her, I ask her if I could come with her, and she says yes. I talked to the police at the time, and they allowed me in. And I start to see that everything that she tells me is true. And that's how I gain access, basically, and that's why I started. Then I go to other countries, then this transformed into a more regional problem.
Okay. Yeah, advance this.
Yeah, so when I meet her, actually that's why I have this picture.
Good.
When I meet her, it was because in El Salvador, I worked with an NGO that was a very, very powerful NGO, because it's an organization that teaches minor gang members to play classical music. And through classical music and learning this instrument, people from opposite gangs, which are supposed to be mortal enemies, start to understand that they are just women who have a hard past, and they become friends. And when they leave the prison, they still have their instruments, they still play together. And on the 8th of March, the day of the International Day of the Women, they went to play into Ilopango prison, which is this prison in the Sector D, which is where she's housed. It's where all the female gang members are housed. And I come with them, and I photograph the event, but I also tell them, like, oh, I have to go to the toilet, and then I sneak. And I met Patricia, who has like more than 100 years of a sentence. And she starts to tell me that even though this event was very meaningful for her, she was going to die in prison, and she was not receiving, any benefits, any food, any water also, or the food that she was receiving was, very horrible. And in Guatemala, same. In Guatemala, after I
advance,
and then in Guatemala, I start to go through the governmental channels. I spent almost 1 year trying to gain access, and I got the access 4 days before leaving the country.
Wow. I'm sure they knew your travel arrangements, right? Yeah.
Right.
And so, over time, are you allowed to go back, or are you able to build any kind of relationship with the folks, with the prisoners?
I do. I try to. Well, in Venezuela, I still try to get access every time I go.
Right.
To see how the situation is evolving.
Okay.
In El Salvador, it's very, very hard to get access anymore, because these prisons actually don't exist anymore. El Salvador has put up in English, I don't know, exception regime might be. And they have this new big prison where they're putting all the persons there. I think your current president might use it for their own prisoners, I think.
I'm not an advocate.
And I do have contact with some of them. I had contact with her, actually, with the one that is in the corner of this image. Ceci, she got out of prison, and now she's living in Europe. Still very traumatized about what happened to her, but very resilient.
So share, if you can, what's going on in the prison as it relates to talking to these prisoners, and what is their life like, and the conditions, and is there hope? Is there anything for them to look forward to?
Hard question. Look,
Leave.
the conditions of the women in all three countries, for me, are defined by hopelessness.
Right.
We were talking before about access. So, I of course, getting the governmental access is very hard, but once that you are there, with the camera, and you have to talk to them, and you have to, photograph them, it feels so intrusive, because the way that they are being held is so unfair. So what I do is that I, of course, leave my camera, take off my shoes, and then go inside, sit with them, and talk to them.
So you're able to do that. I mean, that's...
I do. I tell the guards to leave me, or I try to, sneak and, leave the guards behind, because I know when they're with the guards, they are not going to be 100% honest with me. There's a lot of suffering related to torture from the guards. There is a power relationship there that is, of course, not fair, not horizontal, not unjust. And I sit down with them, and I talk to them. And what I have found out in every country and with every woman that I talk to is that they are people that come from the most vulnerable places in our society, the poorest members of our society, lack of education, lack of family infrastructure, lack of opportunities.
It sounds like when I hear that, it's like almost every set of prisoners around the world have those same characteristics.
It might be true, it really might be true, and the problem, or what I want what I want us to reflect upon when looking at my images is also that these women are heads of the family. So the particularity, I think, in Latin America is that putting a woman in jail is not only affecting her, but it's affecting her whole family constellation, because they are the head of the family for their children. Sometimes they are single mothers. Sometimes they take care of their elders, so the grandparents.
So it all collapses.
Parents. Everything collapses when a woman gets into jail. So that's and it has a double stigma, because once that you're in jail, they feel so guilty because they left the family, because they committed a crime. Or maybe they didn't commit a crime. In a detention center, you never know, but they are in prison and they left their family. So there is a double guilt involved that also leads to other troubles, like self-harm.
So that grief that they're feeling in prison, I don't know if you could find this out. Is it immediate, or over time that grief builds and builds and builds when they know that their little child is now 4 and 5 and 6, right? And because when I was reading your show, and there's not many people that visit them,
no.
right? Like the way we visit men.
Right.
Why do you think that is?
To answer the first part of the question, I think is a very immediate shock. The first shock, I've met women who have been just, taken and put in an attention center, and that they don't understand what's going on at the beginning, what's happening, why am I here? Sometimes it's a very big shock for them, and then of course it grows with time, and this guilt can grow in time, and at the point of sometimes not even. It's such a shameful thing for them that sometimes they don't allow their kids to come and visit, because they don't want them to see them like this. So they'd rather that they stay apart and not be inside these places with them and visit them or stay with them, because they are such a...
I mean, when you hear that sounds so logical. Right? You're embarrassed and you don't want that impression left on your kid. And when does it turn that they must, or that they realize for their own safety, they must get affiliated with a gang?
Let me think. the gang issue is like you said at the beginning. The gang issue is something that is not immediate.
Right.
It's not like a woman was born and was,
Right.
They start with little missions when they are smaller. So when they are smaller, the gang they know who are the vulnerable people, or the people or in the neighborhood who could be, a person that they could influence, and they start to give them small missions in return of something. So, but it's something small, a new pair of shoes or a haircut or whatever, And then, and the missions are very small. Like, tell me when the police comes. Tell me when, and then little by little, when they start to grow up, the missions get bigger. No, here is a package of drug. Can you please take it with you?
Right.
And when they become teenagers, which is in this stage of life where they want to belong to a group, where they want to,
By
you
that
create
point, we
your own
really-
identity. By that point, they are part of the gang, they are part of the group.
They have friends.
They have friends there, boyfriends there, and then they lure them, and then they invite them to live in the safe house, and then they start to, move little by little and make, bigger missions.
Right.
For example, Patricia was guilty of homicide, kidnapping, etc.
But by that time, it's really too late, because eventually they're going to get caught doing something.
But that time is too late, because also the mind is already influenced and changed by the gang principles, which is, this is a group that you cannot ever leave, because if you leave, we will find you and kill you.
Right. So
they are also like kind of trapped in this system.
Right.
And it's something that they truly believe, So
Right.
they don't leave. Every time that I met some woman who was inside the gang, they say that they would never leave. They're too scared to leave.
Too scared.
And when they are out of the prison, they don't have too many opportunities, because whether they go back to the gang, or I found in El Salvador one NGO that was helping them, but then you have to hide, you have to migrate, you have to leave the country, the place that you grew up, remove the tattoos, and get a lot of psychological help in order to get out of this system that is telling you, or this mindset that is telling you that the gang is going to find you and kill you.
And they will.
And
they
that you
will.
are mortal enemies with the other gang,
Right.
with the other members of the other gang. So,
You can't win.
right.
Yeah, so tell me about this. This was the celebration. She was getting dressed to go to some celebration.
This is in Guatemala. So this is in Guatemala is a completely different context, because in Guatemala 70% of the population is indigenous. They are Mayan.
Yeah.
So the problem here is that there's a lot of Mayan people inside the detention centers and prison that don't speak the language. So their trials are not fair, because they are not understanding what's going on, and they use these weavings and these costumes. These are their original costumes, right. And they use it when they receive family or for special events and stuff like that.
So tell me the photography piece of this. How do you engage, get the access, and what are you thinking as you're photographing these folks with dignity and all of that?
I think what I do is to listen a lot. So I listen to their stories first. I explain a lot of who I am. So I am very honest of who I am. I am not like another Ana María when I'm in prison and when I'm here. Like I am the same, and I'm talking to them in different languages, and explaining a little bit of my story, telling that I want to understand their life circumstances, where they come from in order to get here, understand if they have a lawyer, if not, all of that. Yeah. And then I, little by little, take my camera out and start to photograph, always thinking a lot about consent. There are women that don't want to be photographed.
So how does that work? They say, don't photograph me?
Don't photograph me.
And at any point, are you frightened for yourself?
No.
No, at no point. Okay. Because they're treating you nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's a very respectful relationship.
Amen.
And no one visits. No one cares. So I think that the fact that I'm there making them feel
originally, like that original point that you're there is you're somebody who cares.
Yeah, and they know this and they feel it, and you know humans, we feel.
Yeah.
So if you're authentic, if you are honest, if you are you and you explain and they feel your honesty and they feel the emotions that you want to, and they allow you.
And those same fundamentals drive you through your career.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the foundation of a good photojournalist, a good documentarian, right? You care, you want to know. So tell me about this.
This is one of the few organizations that take care of the prisoners. I think in English is Protestants, evangelists.
Protestant,
yeah. And they bring priests, and they talk a lot about this shame. So they try to, they preach towards, good values, protecting the other, getting rid of the shame, finding forgiveness, etc. And they bring food, of course, and that was a moment where they were preaching.
So somebody is finally their day to leave. They're getting out of prison. Is that a celebratory moment, or is it painful to leave? Because this is now a family that you may have for 15 years.
100%.
Right? So now I'm leaving. Where am I going? And I'm leaving all my family. Right? So can you speak to that dynamic?
I met a Venezuelan woman who was in prison in Guatemala. And she just she was just released. And she spent in prison in Guatemala more than 10 years. She was the manicurist of the prison.
There you go.
She did nails very well.
I'm sure.
And she was happy, but she told me that she was feeling so lost and so sad sometimes because she could not get separated from the prison environment. She didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
She was lost. I met her in an organization in Guatemala who was called La Serigrafía de la Gringa, which is an American girl from New York that opened a place to make T-shirts with ex-prisoners. So everyone that works there is in reinsertion. And she was going there every day in order to, hang around people who were formerly in prison and to try to find a path again.
There's a common trait,
right? Yeah, exactly.
Everyone knows each other's pain.
Exactly. There's no stigma. There is no, nothing involved. It's just...
No, it's really interesting to hear the dynamic of the family aspect to all of this, right? Because it's all so much connected with where you go now with the rest of your life, right? I mean, they need each other.
They need each other.
Right.
I don't know how it is with the men, but I know that inside the prisons inside the women's prison, there is a huge amount of solidarity and family sense inside.
And is there a hierarchy, like the from the very first slide, that woman's there for 50 years, 100 years, whatever it's going to be? Does she just morph into she's the leader?
Yes, there is a hierarchy in the prisons. It's not as marked as in the male prison, like where you have like the leader of that sometimes you know the name. It's a more horizontal thing, but you do have somebody that is organizing the power structures, that has the power to an access of. It's a matter of access of privileges. So who has the access of better food, better cell phones, stuff like that. Sometimes I don't know.
So
whatever.
They get out of prison, and is the gang waiting for them?
Sometimes.
If you're young enough, right? Like that woman, if she got out at 70.
Maybe not.
Right.
Maybe she would be the one that's going to go find them. But I also met one girl in this same NGO that in Guatemala that was being followed by the gang because she had kids with a gang member and the father wanted to take the kid. So she was very scared, and they were invading her house. She had to move from her house, being another house.
It's a lawless community, right? I mean, it's like
actually,
the Wild West.
The problem is that it's very organized. It's not
organized in getting you.
Yeah.
But it's lawless in this environment, right? Like, can go and kill you, and nothing is really going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So where do you go moving forward? 'Cause we have the time limit. Moving forward with this project, have you finished it for yourself, spiritually, or do you continue?
Well, when I think about my project, I'm always thinking about what impact I'm going to have with it, And truth be told, of course, I'm not going to change anything, or I hope that one day I could at least, open a conversation with our leaders through my work, and make them understand that this is not helping anybody, that these women are leaving the jail, sometimes being worse members of our society because they have to face so much violence inside this prison. And what I want to do is really change something with my work. And in order to do that, I need to make a lot of countries. Right. So my plan is to go and do it in every country in Latin America.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
Well, no, yeah. So I mean, and that's a noble cause. So now it becomes your issue. This is the tracks that you want to ride on to make that difference. And you see that a lot with photojournalists. They start with something and then it becomes their life's work, right? Or a long-term project while you have your other project. So I can't thank you enough for sitting with me and doing this. It's really great. This is important work, and I'm sure you opened a lot of eyes. So thank you. And I want to thank all the folks here at Xposure for letting us use their platform and recording us, and we will see you next time. Ana, thank you very, very much.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Okay, thanks.